So you're thinking about starting a K-1 fiancé visa application for your Colombian fiancé, but first you want to know how much is this going to cost? My name is Camilo Rincon. I'm an attorney. We have offices in the US and in Colombia to be able to help you out during the entire process. So again, we hear this question all the time. We want to start, but how much is this going to cost? So in this video, we're going to focus on two things: government fees, meaning what you pay the government, and what we call outside fees. All right. So if you have more questions about the fiancé visa application process, we made an earlier video that explains the entire process in detail. But again, in this video, we're going to focus on the monetary part. So stage one is called the immigration service. That's USCIS. In that initial review, what the government is going to charge you is $675 to review Form I-129F. That's the main form that's associated with the fiancé visa application for stage one. All right, so $675 is what you pay the government. Now, there are two outside expenses associated with this initial stage. Number one is translation costs. And translations are important because if you want to include any documents in your application that are not already in English, you're going to have to attach certified translations. All right, so that's one outside expense. The second outside expense is going to be mail costs, because if you have documents, for example, in Colombia that have to be mailed to the US to be submitted with the application, then international mail costs are also going to be a factor. On average, trustworthy services like DHL or FedEx charge about 50 bucks, usually about 50 bucks to mail things from Colombia to the US. All right, so now we have three expenses: government fee, $675, translation costs, depending on how many documents you want to translate, obviously is going to go up and down, and then that international mail cost. All right, those are all the expenses for stage one. Stage two is the National Visa Center. The great thing, as I mentioned in my earlier video, is that the National Visa Center won't charge you anything. So that second review is free. All right. Now on to the third stage. The third stage is what is called the U.S. Embassy process, also known as consular processing. All right. So once your case moves from stage one to stage two and arrives at the U.S. Embassy in Colombia, there are going to be more costs associated to that third and final review. Number one, you're going to have to fill out a form called the DS-160, or your Colombian fiancé, rather, is going to have to fill out that form. That form to submit it and to have the embassy review it. As of today's date, 2025, it has a fee of $265 for fiancé visa purposes. Careful, because that DS-160 is a multi-purpose form, which can be used for tourist visas, fiancé visas, J-1 visas, student visas. And for each one of those, it has a different cost. So if you paid something other than $265, it probably means that you didn't pay the correct fee. So again, for the fiancé visa, the DS-160 has a fee of $265. All right. Another cost, another expense is going to be medical doctors. So your foreign fiancé, your Colombian fiancé, is going to have to get a medical exam with one of the embassy's doctors. All right. Those are called panel physicians. So it's not really your family doctor or your health insurance doctor. No, it has to be a doctor that's licensed by the embassy. All right. In Colombia, it varies, but usually there are only 3 or 4 doctors who are licensed to do those medicals. All right. On average, that's going to be about $800 for that medical. So it's pretty expensive. But that varies. And the reason why I say it varies is because if the doctor, for example, wants to do additional lung x-rays, or if the doctor needs to do additional blood work, or if the doctor needs to do booster vaccines, it can vary, but about $800. All right. There are other outside costs with this third and final stage. So if, for example, your Colombian fiancé doesn't live in Bogotá, you should know that fingerprints take place in Bogotá, the medical exam takes place in Bogotá, and the interview at the embassy takes place in Bogotá. So if your fiancé doesn't live in Bogotá, he or she's going to have to travel to Bogotá for those 3 things. So again, make sure you allocate money for travel expenses and maybe hotels, right? If your fiancé has to stay a few days in Bogotá. So those are the major costs associated with the K-1 visa. All right. In another video, we're going to explain what we called, or what the immigration service calls, the adjustment of status. The adjustment of status is after you get that fiancé visa approved and your fiancé travels to the US and you guys get married in the US, you're going to have to petition for the green card, right? So in another video, we're going to explain in detail how the adjustment of status works, which is what that process is called, of getting that green card, and what all the fees for that process are. My name is Camilo Rincon. As I said, I'm an attorney. And if you want help with your case, feel free to reach out.